Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Of course, Europa League tomorrow night, but it is against a very good team, at least on paper. Jose Mourinho's Fenerbahçe. It's going to be a difficult game in Turkey. And our last time we went to Turkey, we lost to Galatasaray, which is the other powerhouse from the Turkish Super League. But this time, we have to face former managers in Jose Mourinho and, of course, former players in Fred and Amrabat. Not to mention their players such as Checo, Saint Maximan. These are players that on their day can cause any team and any defense huge problems. And ourselves, we're going to have to be defensively structured in order to ensure that we don't give them a sniff. Now, Fenerbahce are fourth in the Turkish Super League, and they drew their last two games, with one against FC Twente in the Europa League, and of course, now over the weekend, they also drew 2-2 with the team that I cannot pronounce the name of, but they drew 2-2 with that team in the Turkish Super League. So they are not entirely fit and firing. They're not, as I would say, in top form, where we need to be feeling a bit of fear. The only fear that I do have is the way Erik ten Hag is going to set up the team, because we know what Mourinho is going to do. He's going to set up his team quite defensively sound, and then he will allow to stifle us in midfield, and of course maybe pressing in a mid to low block, because Mourinho is very much a defensive coach, but he allows his defense to be strong in order for his attacking players to shine and have no defensive responsibilities. That is why the likes of Saint Maximan and Checo, etc., are going to be threats towards our defense. And Ten Hag himself needs to ensure that he counters what Mourinho wants to do. Now, of course, Bruno is suspended, and you would think that is maybe a bit of a blow to us. And in certain cases, it is. But if you have Eriksen, which we do have, he can play the number 10 role. That was his role at Spurs and when he was playing at Inter Milan. So we know that he can play as a 10. And if he has a very good defensive structure behind him without having to have any defensive responsibilities, he could be the one to make us tick, to control the tempo, to pick and choose when he wants the game to be sped up, etc., etc. So, all in all, this game is massive, not just for the team, but also for Ten Hag, because we need to get a result, a win in the Europa League in order to, shall I say, climb the table of the Europa League in where we are. But we need to ensure that we are part of the 24 that goes through to the next round. Now, of course, we could lay 24th and still go through, but we don't want that as Man United fans. No, we want to be winning every game. That is the standard that we need to have as a team. Ten Hag himself, looks forward to this game. He said that he's looking forward to the game against Mourinho and against Fenerbahce. And of course, Fred and Amrabat, being former players of Man United, will want to prove a point, especially against the manager, Amrabat more so, that basically believed in him. They are going to put on a show. Fenerbahce, the stadium itself, they're playing home. It's going to be a nightmare in terms of the way the fans are going to, one, be on top of our players, but also very much support their own team, simply because they are playing home. And to them, it's a box office game. Man United coming to our home ground. Yes, we might not be at the best level that we can be as a club, but we are still Man United. And the teams that play us still want to beat us and put that on their mantle, saying, we beat Man United. Man United came to our home and couldn't win us. So we certainly need to be mindful of that factor. Fenerbahce are a team that have individual stars. And Mourinho, of course, will try his best to mold a team from that. Now, even though they're laying fourth in the Turkish Super League, it doesn't necessarily say that they are that bad. Maybe the results are not going the way they want to because it is Mourinho's first season, and of course, he is still building his own team. Now, we have to be mindful of the fact as well that Ten Hag might make changes for this game because there are quite a few academy youngsters that are training with the first team. Sekou Kone, Curly, Sam Mather, you have Ethan Wheatley, Habib Oguneye, you have Harry Amas, etc. We have youngsters training with the first team, and the reports that are put out there are that some of them are going to go with on the plane to Turkey and be part of the matchday squad, which could, one, be experience that they need, and two, if Ten Hag decides to play them and think that they are good enough, who knows? We might be seeing one of the youngsters come on from the bench. And That in itself shows Manchester United's ethos and ethics is still there. We still produce academy players into our first team like we have always done. And the players that we have in the academy, the under 18s and the under 21s that are looking to break through into the first team are real special quality players. And it will take them time to get to that particular level that they need to be at to be starting for Manchester United or even be part of the squad. But I'm sure Ten Hag is doing his job on that quite fairly. Now, for me, this is the team Ten Hag has to go with. Onana in goal, of course. Mazraoui has been in training, so he will start at right back. De Ligt and Martinez at centre back, and De Loo at left back. That is a back five that I can agree with, that can play together and understand each other quite well. Now, of course, Ten Hag could play Johnny Evans. He could put Martinez left back. We don't know. But for me, this is the back line he should be going with. In midfield, there's no Mason Mount, who still isn't in training. Of course, there isn't any Bruno because of his suspension. And then we also don't have a Collier, perhaps, who might come in and come off from the bench because Ten Hag's not going to start him in this game. So for me, it has to be Ugarte, Casemiro, and Eriksen as the 10. Because with Ugarte and Casemiro, there is a sense of defensive solidity. Casemiro can be the one to push a bit higher to allow for a harder press from the front. And of course, Ugarte can basically clean up whatever counters Fenerbahçe would like to do towards us. Eriksen, free from defensive responsibilities, can control the game, can control the tempo, speed it up or slow it down, and play those penetrative passes to Rashford, to Højlund, and of course he can have beautiful link-up play with Ahmad. Now I know Garnacho scored over the weekend a fantastic goal, and he probably arguably was man of the match. But in terms of what Ahmad gives us, control, his positional sense, the way he looks to first play in his teammates before taking a shot, his ability to beat his man quite easily in tight spaces and play in those tight spaces is very, very good at a high technical level. This is why I think Ahmad should be starting, because of his abilities with the ball and how he positions himself when we do not have the ball. Garnacho can be a fantastic impact sub because of the electricity and the drive that he has pushing forward when he comes off from the bench. And against a tired Mourinho Fenerbahçe defense, Garnacho can be a lethal weapon, coming on in the second half and driving at those tired defenders. And we certainly know that is an option. If Ten Hag starts Garnacho, then I do wonder, where is Ahmad going to get game time? Because Ten Hag can talk about rotation, he can talk about players being in form, but we need a natural right winger, whether he be left-footed or right-footed. Garnacho is much more better on the left-hand side. And of course, I know Rashford plays there as well, but Garnacho will have to compete for that position. And if Ten Hag is playing Garnacho on the right-hand side, again, where does it leave Ahmad? That is a huge conundrum and dilemma for me, because I would want to see Ahmad starting on the right regularly and having Garnacho compete with Rashford on the left-hand side. Højlund obviously scored over the weekend, so he will have confidence. He will want to play, he will want to score again, especially because he knows what Fenerbahçe might want to do. So he certainly will be up for it because of him having the confidence to do so now. So Jose Mourinho and Fenerbahçe is definitely going to be a tough game in Turkey, but we need to get the win. That is without explanation. That is the bottom line. We need to be winning this game if we even stand a chance of wanting to have a very good Europa League run, and we probably are the favorites to win it. If we look at the other teams in the competition, we are probably the favorites to win it. And of course, it is a way for us to get Champions League football if we don't end up being in the top 4 at the end of the season. But thank you for joining me in the preview. Of course, drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so, and of course, have a wonderful week further. Enjoy the game. I hope that Manchester United gets a win and we have a good performance. Till we see each other again soon, Red Devils. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching. If you want more content on Manchester United, like, share and subscribe.